Supreme Darkness presents Maliss with a lot more opportunities, but also with more challenges. Let's talk about it. For the monsters, I play 3 copies of White Rabbit. This card gets a whole lot better post-Alliance impact with the new Maliss monster, but even in Supreme Darkness format it's still a free off. Next I play 3 copies of Dormouse, by far the best starter in the Maliss deck, and 1 copy of Shezzycat. Whilst Shezzycat is a name and allows you to get into the Link monsters at the very least, I found that the games that you lose in this deck are when you just clog on too many normal summons. Some people play Allure Darkness to alleviate the issue of drawing too many Maliss monsters, but I believe Allure Darkness has a lot of issues with it and forces you to build your deck completely differently if you were to include this card. But we'll talk about that and the various versions of Maliss after this deck profile. And then I play 1 copy of Dotscaper. Post-Alliance impact, you do not need to play this card anymore, seeing as you can banish the new Maliss girl from your deck, and it achieves the same goal without playing the brick in Dotscaper. But for now, we have to play this guy, so Red Ransom gives us another body. As there's a lot of Fiendsmith decks running around in the format, I decided that Bystials were a good inclusion. The 3 copies of Druisworm allows you to handle Detonator with much more ease. Magnamut is of course the best Bystial, and by playing the 1 copy of Boldrake, it gives us another search from the Magnamut, whilst not being a bad card by himself. I really wanted to make use of Nightmare Griffin as well as the newly released Abao Aku, as I believe an inboard of these 2 is much more powerful than the Terahertz, and allows for a more versatile extra deck. As such, I decided to play a Fiendsmith Engine, consisting of 3 copies of Engraver, 1 Lacrima, 1 Lurie, 1 Tract, and 1 Paradise. I'm only playing 1 copy of Tract because I'm not playing Necro-equipped Princess, and this deck gives you a lot of link bodies so you can very easily make a Moon to access the Fiendsmith Engine. Engraver serves a similar purpose to the Sky Striker engine, or the Kashtira engine, by being 2 additional bodies that you can use for your link summon. But what I like about Engraver is that you can use him at any time, and the longer the game goes on, the better he gets. Additionally, by playing the Fiendsmith engine, we can access a trap via Lacrima in case we get Shummied or Lancioed, whilst not giving your opponent too many cards. For the spell cards, I play 3 copies of Maliss and Underground. Whilst being a card you will always search in your combo, it's still very important to have enough starters in your deck so you actually see the Maliss cards, and I would rather draw Underground along with a Maliss monster than drawing Shezzycat and a Maliss monster. Thus I'm also playing 1 copy of Terraforming to search that out. Then I play 1 copy of Gold Sarcophagus, being able to tutor any Maliss monster from your deck whenever you want. And for the Maliss traps, just 1 of each. And for the non-engine, I play 3 copies of Mulcharmy Fuvalos. Maliss is a combo deck that kinda struggles at breaking boards, so forcing your opponent to pass on a lesser field is very advantageous for you. Then I play 3 copies of Nibiru the Primal Being. Whilst not having too many negation hand traps to pair with the Nib, like Veil or Ghost Ogre to stop a duo drive, if most people continue to play Fiendsmith Ryzeal, you're able to Bystial away their Engraver. Thus you can Nib them, as they cannot get to Caesar. Nib is also very good in this deck, seeing as you're able to survive longer, and this deck can outgrind pretty much every deck in the format. As the Maliss cards give you so many bodies for turn 3, you can usually just OTK them with access code Talker. And even if you don't, you have the Fiendsmith engine for basically infinite grind game. Then I play 3 copies of Triple Tactics Talent. This deck has a lot of extenders that you can draw into, and as your ceiling is so high, you force them to interact pretty early on. So using talents to draw 2 can usually give you another play, or check their hand to remove their Nibiru. And for the last card in the main deck, I play 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. Imperm allows you to negate their Caesar or their Detonator, and gives you a good non-engine card to pair with the Nib and to draw off of Fuvalos. So why did I decide not to play Allure Darkness in this deck? Seeing as it's a very good extender by banishing your Maliss monsters from hand, digging deeper into your deck and allowing you to special summon more monsters to push through what they have. Well, I feel the issue with Allure is that you don't want to play this in a deck where you play hand traps. Often when you use Allure, at least going second, it's played as an extender. Thus, if Allure draws you Imperm, Fuvalos, or Nibiru, these 2 will always be dead. Sure, you can chain the Imperm to your Maliss effect being banished, but only if the rest of your field is empty, while these 2 will do nothing at breaking apart their board. So I think if you play Allure in this deck, you're kind of forced to play as a board breaker deck with the Sky Striker engine. And while the striker cards are not bad by themselves, it kind of forces you into the board breaker approach by playing Thrusts and foregoing hand traps. That might be completely fine in a format where you can easily push through their board, but the Maliss deck can often struggle going second at breaking apart their board and establishing your own, and dealing with their follow-up, especially against the mirror match or any other combo-centric matchup. Therefore, I decided approach with hand traps would be better for game 1 and gives me a more versatile deck post side. I also did not main deck the Kashtira monsters, seeing as they're kinda bad when you go second. Fenrir does nothing in this deck, and Unicorn grabbing your birth into a Detonator isn't very effective. But we'll talk about the cash cards more when we get to the side deck. And then for the extra deck, I play 1 copy of Link Decoder to extend your Link summons, 1 copy of Fiendsmith Requiem, 1 Sequence, 1 Moon of the Closed Heaven, 1 Haggard Lizardos, 1 Nightmare Phoenix. It can be very vital to discard your Maliss monsters to get them into the graveyard, and picking apart their backer before you commit to a red ransom or white binder also comes up a lot. Then I play 1 IP Masquerena and 1 SP Little Knight. For the Maliss links, I have 1 red ransom, 1 white binder, and 1 Hearts of Cryptor. For the link force, as we talked about in the introduction, I play 1 Abao Ku and 1 Nightmare Griffin. Griffin is a very strong end piece against all the Fiendsmith decks, particularly against Ryzeal. And with Abao, you can fairly easily make a board that looks something like this, so you don't give them any link zones. Then I play 1 copy of Access Code Talker, allowing you to easily close out games, and to OTK them through Nibiru. And for last extract monster, I play 1 copy of Fiendsmith Desiree for the Fiendsmith Engine. I decided not to play Caesar or Necro Equip because there just isn't enough space, but it was something that I considered. And for the side deck, I play 3 copies of Mulcharmy Meowls. Meowls is a very good Mulcharmy heading into the next format, but I would still expect some people to still play Lancia, either because they simply do not have this card, or they just prefer having Lancia as well as Meowls against the Maliss deck. But if you only have the 3 slots, you could probably just remove the Lancias for 3 copies of Meowls, seeing as they're both very good against all the Maliss versions, but this card is way better against Fiendsmith decks and some other rogue decks. Then I side 3 copies of Ash Blossom. It is very pertinent to be able to negate the Mulcharmies, seeing as they effectively floodgate you out of the game. And with Ash and Meowls, I can have enough hand traps to where I'm comfortable going second into the mirror match, whilst having a card that I can also take in going first, when I take out the Fuvalos. Then I'm actually siding a Kashtira package of 3 copies of Unicorn and 1 copy of Birth. Similar to what some people did in Snake Eyes format, they sided the Kashtira cards from yugioh first, seeing as they're very good extenders, and allow you to play through hand traps, but also punish hand traps with Unicorn's effect. But these were not cards I wanted to main deck, seeing as if I go second and I either Bystial or Nibiru my opponent, the Unicorn is dead, and the Unicorn also doesn't really accomplish that much heading into a Detonator or a Maliss field. Even against a field of Caesar and whatever else the Fiendsmith decks can accomplish, it doesn't really threaten that board in any way. Additionally, you should probably not play Allure of Darkness if you play the Kashtira monsters, seeing as if you go Allure and banish a Maliss monster and bring it back, the Unicorn, if you drew it off of Allure, would be dead. How good Unicorn is though will depend on how many people decide to play Meowls in their deck. If they drop it in the standby phase, I could see myself not playing Unicorn anymore if everyone played Meowls, seeing as the Birth would give them another draw from the Meowls, and I wouldn't be able to get Unicorn's effect off. But if few people play this, and those who do always drop it in main phase to force you to commit something at least, then the Unicorn is very good, because then you can also do this against Lancia. So it's something to think about, depending on how the format shapes up, post Supreme Darkness. Then I have 1 copy of Call by the Grave to negate opposing Mulcharmies, 1 copy of Harpy's Feather Duster, and 2 copies of Lightning Storm. These cards along with the Bystials are very good against Ryzeal, where you're able to clear their cross, even against Pure, and you have the Druid's Worm, which you can chain to Eclipse Twins effect when you attempt to reborn the Detonator. And for the last card on the side deck, I have 1 copy of Lina, the Light Charmer. Again, this card partially depends on how prevalent Lancia will be. In the mirror match, if they Lancia you, you can make Lina with the Fiendsmith cards, summon their Lancia back and Lancia them on their turn. You can also of course use this against Fiendsmith decks, taking their Desiree for example, or against Ryzeal to take Detonator. That's it for the profile. Let me know what you guys think about the Maliss deck post Supreme Darkness, and your thoughts on the Fiendsmith package versus the Unicorn or the Engage package. If you enjoy my content, make sure to also subscribe to my second channel, linked in the description box down below. There I'll be posting more personalized and exclusive content.